Hello and welcome to the final entry in my favorite demos I'd like to cover from the February 2022 Steam Next Fest. If you don't know, this is a virtual event where you can endlessly dig for hot new upcoming indie games and try out some demos. This is the last game I'd like to talk about, which has a mouthful of a name, Eversleep Lunistice Gaiden. Now the first thing you'll notice when you go into the game is it's got a really cool presentation to it. The Steam page says it's got like a Sega Saturn, PlayStation era game look to it, and it definitely has that. You also have a nice sort of 90s sort of game soundtrack. It all goes together pretty well. The environments in this game also are very varied in the levels you can play, so graphically you will see some different cool things as you play. Gameplay-wise, I found this game reminded me a bit of like Super Mario 3D World, Kirby games. It's not really like a big open like Mario 64 level style, it's more of like moving forward, collecting a few things on the way. That's what made me think of Kirby. In addition, there's also a separate time attack mode, which had some different characters. I'm guessing maybe you can unlock those in the main game. These unlockable characters have different abilities from the main character, Hana, the Tanuki. So the one in the demo, I believe, was a duck that couldn't attack. There probably will be other weird challenge things that the other characters have, which will probably spice up the game. Now, while the game looks really cool and is kind of fun to sort of just run straight through the levels, try and speedrun maybe, as the game mostly keeps track of your time, gives you a rank, it's that sort of game. There are some downsides to this game that stuck out to me as well. The big thing is just, this game was not fun to control for me. The movement is just not ideal. It feels like it needs some work. It mostly just feels like it was maybe designed only for keyboard users, so what I'm getting at is that there's no analog movement in this game. So like for a Mario 64 style platformer, you'll know like if you tilt the stick all the way in a direction, Mario will run. If you tilt it only slightly, he'll just walk. And then maybe say you're facing toward the screen, we'll call that forward, and then you want to turn backward. You could tilt backward very slightly and Mario will only turn around. He won't move at all. This game does not have that style of movement at all. When I say it was like probably made only for keyboard, you basically have very digital movement. If you're facing, say, forward in this game and then you tap W, try to just turn around. Or I guess more accurately, if you just tilt it slightly back on a control stick to look backward when you're facing forward, you instead will move a bit slightly in that direction, like you were hitting W on the keyboard. And there's a lot of like little precise areas to jump in this game, so you notice this when playing with a controller instantly. You'll try to just turn to face the right way, and you'll move a little, you'll fall off and die. It's pretty frustrating. There's also more ways you can tell this game was probably made more for keyboard and mouse. You have a walk button, so that reminds me of Mario 64 DS. Or instead you have a single button to toggle between two different move speeds. Now I actually kind of think this is still a cool idea. I like the idea of a walk button, even with an analog movement option like a control stick. But I just feel like this movement needs a little more tweaking, especially with the types of levels that are in this game. Now despite this issue, I did begrudgingly wishlist this game because I have covered it in this video and I still want to see the final result. I may not buy this game if the control issues are not fixed at least. Additionally, just the level style in this game is not 100% my jam. I prefer exploration heavy like Banjo-Kazooie style levels. But as long as maybe this game finds ways to mix it up like Kirby games do in future levels, it should be fine. At least visually it was doing that, mixing things up every sort of world as you go in the demo. Looking at the settings menu now, this game is a bit bare bones in options. It does have separate audio sliders at least, but graphics options are a bit limited. It's got a depth of field toggle and retro filters on and off as the only customization options, which is understandable for this game having a specific retro look. But there could be some scalability settings that exist, like resolution scale, to help the game run on some computers. Speaking of resolution, the game only has a window toggle and window scale options as the resolution picking options. I'm not sure what's up with this since this game filled up a 16:9 monitor by default, so it's not to preserve an artistic 4:3 res or anything, it just doesn't have a resolution picker. The game was also missing a V-Sync and frame cap options, which I kinda expect any 3D PC game to have. I didn't have any performance issues, the game locked at 60 FPS, and I imagine this will run fine for most people. The only other major section of the options menu was camera, which allowed you to adjust the camera sensitivity speed and invert it. There unfortunately wasn't a controls menu, so there were no rewindable controls. As a funny side note, there's this leaf logo when you load between levels that is like blatantly the Tom Nook logo from Animal Crossing, and the developer knows. There is no specified release date for this game, but since it was in the fest, I'd assume probably within the next year. You'll have to wishlist this game and wait for the notification. As a final teaser, I have another honorable mention from the next fest, which is Turbo Overkill, another retro-style title. It's a boomer shooter with nice levels and gun mechanics, and sadly they pulled the sin of pulling the demo as well, so all you can do is check out trailers. And with that, this concludes my coverage on all the cool games I saw in the February Steam Next Fest 2022 edition. I hope some of you come out of this as excited as I am for these future indie game releases. We'll see if any future Steam Next Fest is cool as well. There might be some gems in that I geek over and provide insights on as well. Whether I do or not, thanks for watching. Leave a comment to let me know if you found my blabbering useful or not, and bye!